Hello and welcome to 3-Minute Theology Thursday. Today we're talking about the immutability of God, what it means, whether God ever changes his mind, and why God's immutability matters for our lives. Roll the intro. Okay, let's get 3 minutes on the screen and let's get into it. Now, when we talk about God's immutability, what we're saying is that God doesn't ever change. In systematic theology, Wayne Grudem defines it like this: God is unchanging in his being, perfections, purposes, and promises. Yet, God does act and feel emotions, and he acts and feels differently in response to different situations. Now, sometimes this is also called God's unchangeableness. So, in Psalm 102 verses 25 through 27, it says this: Of old you laid the foundation of the earth, and the heavens are the work of your hands. They will perish, but you will remain. They will all wear out like a garment. You will change them like a robe, and they will pass away. But you are the same, and your years have no end. See, what this verse does is it takes things that we think are permanent, like the foundation of the earth, and then it contrasts them with God, and it says, these things seem like they're gonna last forever, but they're not. But God, he's unchanging, he's always gonna be there, he'll never ever go away. Now, when we say that God doesn't ever change, you might wonder, doesn't God change his mind sometimes? Like, for example, in the story of Jonah. In chapter 3 verse 4, God says, Yet 40 days, and Nineveh shall be overthrown. But later in verse 10 it says that when God saw what they did and how they turned from their evil way, God relented of the disaster that he said he would do to them, and he did not do it. So what happened here? Did God change his mind? No, see, God reacts differently to different situations. In verse 4, Nineveh was sinning against God, so God said, I will destroy them. But later, Nineveh repented, and so in response to this different situation, God said, I won't destroy them. See, God's purposes, punishment for sin, mercy for repentance, that remained the same, but God reacts differently to different situations. Numbers 23 verse 19 says that God is not man that he should lie, or a son of man that he should change his mind. Has he said, and will he not do it, or has he spoken, and will he not fulfill it? God doesn't ever change, and he always remains the same. Now, why does this matter? Well, think for a minute. If God could change, let's say for the better, that would mean back when we first believed in him, he wouldn't have been a perfect being. Or if he could change for the worse and become more and more evil, eventually he might become completely evil. See, either way, we wouldn't ever know who God is. But because God is immutable, because God doesn't ever change, we can always know who he is. We know that he's holy and pure, just, righteous, loving. And that is why God's immutability matters. I'm Jacob, thank you for watching, and God willing, I'll see you in the next video. Remember to set your mind on things above. God's immutability is pretty closely related to his aseity, which I talk about in this video on the screen, so be sure to check that out if you haven't already. You know, one day we should do like a 30-minute Thursday. That would be interesting.